I'm so happy to be here. Microphone. Ta-da. All right. Hi, thank you. And thank you. I always just appreciate the Abraham Hicks crew and Esther and everybody back at the office. Just thank you for coming to Orlando, for going all around the country. Thank you, guys. For the live streams. Live streams are awesome. And there's an Abe Live chat group on Facebook, just so everybody knows, where it's a wonderful community.
We told you there was trouble in this room.
So hi, live streamers. So the question that I had in mind when I came up here...
Well, you've used up all of your time for your commercial.
You know what? That would be okay, too. Because I just like getting picked. The question that I was holding in mind was about money. I've had an amazing experience with money in my life. And I've, when you're good with money, or when people have come to me for money. And so I had the experience this past year of helping two people. But what I noticed is that it didn't change them at all. And I wanted to chew on that with you.
Well, what you're talking about is offering an action which seems like it should have effect, and it does temporarily.
It did have a little bit of an effect.
But the action can't compensate for the vibration that they've got going on. So it just sort of bounces off of them. That's what we were talking about earlier. You have to, if you're going to be of any value to someone, you have to impart your vibration of alignment. In other words, that's the vibrational currency that you're wanting to help them with, rather than the financial currency. Mm-hmm. Because their patterns of thought don't necessarily change because their circumstances did. People think that they will. Yeah. In other words, that's what we get that from people quite a bit. They'll say, well, Abraham, this vibrational reality that you're talking about all the time is not that satisfying. I really want the lover in my bed, and I really want the money in my bank account, and this vibrational stuff isn't cutting it for me. And so, but what we want them to understand is that they have to become a vibrational match to what they're asking for in order for it to not just come, but stay. Mm-hmm. And so if they've got a different frequency going on, and because you're in alignment, so you have abundance, and then you express the action of your abundance, it doesn't mean that it will change anything for them long term, because it's starting at the wrong end of it. They've got to start from the inside out, you see. And people often think, well, if I just had the money, then everything else would be all right.
Yes, exactly. That's exactly it.
And what they have to understand is that the money or the clarity or the whatever is coming in response to the vibrational seed that they've got going. And that's where they have to start. So you would be of more value to someone if you could help them feel appreciation for where they stand, rather than trying to change the circumstances of where they stand. Because often, even in changing the you would think that by changing the circumstances, that then they would just observe the circumstances, and then everything would change for them. And wouldn't it be nice if it would work like that? And maybe, and then the thought is, well, maybe I just didn't give them enough. Maybe I didn't change their circumstances enough. But what happens is it just doesn't work that way.
I brought one of them to the Dallas workshop, but, it didn't take. I'm just kidding. Of course, there is some movement, but I'm hearing what you're saying, that I need to, I guess, also probably see them as able to change or something.
Well, part of it is in how you are seeing them, because when you hold someone as your object of attention and you are in alignment, that's really helpful to them. But much of it is in the way that they are seeing you too. And so if they see you as abundant, and your abundance is the reason for everything being wonderful for you, then they're not approaching it in a way that is sustainable for them. In other words, you have to help them to understand that they are a vibrational being and that the way they feel is the indication of what their point of attraction is.
So to not give them the impression, or not let them keep the impression that the only reason I'm thriving is because I have money, but to let them know the inside.
And that's a hard thing for them to hear, because they've conditioned themselves. They've been thinking those other thoughts for so long that they're holding you. They're in that competitive or even jealous place where they've convinced themselves that if they had what you had, then they could be like you are. And so then when you give them some, it's never enough.
Right. Yeah.
It's never enough, because you discover that it doesn't matter how much you give to them, they still see you as holding out because you've got more to give that for some reason you and society are unwilling to give them.
Right.
The most important part of this conversation we touched on earlier when we said you can't get poor enough to help someone become financially solvent, and you can't get sick enough to help someone become well, because even though it feels like if they could relate to you. And so that's really what you're wanting to do in order to help someone. You want to help them to relate to you, but you want to help them to relate to who you really are, which is that aligned being. And so if we were standing in your physical shoes and we wanted to help someone and they were looking to us for financial help, and we'd been down that road and we know how that goes, and so we're wanting to take a different approach to it, we would hold them as our object of attention while we write lists of positive aspects about them. We would activate in ourselves the very best that we see in them. This is a person who has true desire. This is a person who has absolute potential. This is a person who, with just a little fine-tuning, can be in a place where their point of attraction will shift. This is a person who is on the brink of things getting better. This is a person who has powerful desire. So step one is really pulsing, who has filled their vortex full of all kinds of things, and their vortex is spinning for them and has gathered all kinds of abundance for them, and it's queued up ready for them, and it won't take much for them to become a vibrational match to what they've been asking for. And I don't want them to relate me to the reason for their success or well-being. I want them to understand that it's coming from them. I want to demonstrate alignment to them so that they can understand what true alignment is. I want to demonstrate to them what I do so that I'm clear-minded, and what I do so that I stay happy, and what I do so that I stay interested. I want to demonstrate the alignment that my life represents that is far beyond the money that I have gathered. I'm not a representative of financial abundance only. I'm abundant in vitality. I'm abundant in clarity. I'm abundant in conversation and intelligence. I'm abundant in well-being. I'm abundant in all phases, and they are abundant in many of these phases, these aspects too. I want to activate within them the abundance that is already there in them. Yeah. And I want to demonstrate that sort of alignment. Right. And then, if you really care about it and you've done that, law of attraction will bring you together just in perfect timing so that they will begin to understand the abundance that they have inherited. Some people come into this physical experience and there has been money in their family, and so they prosper from the money that's been in their family. Some, it doesn't happen that way. But every single person who is in physical form has come as the inheritor of this source energy. There is a vibrational currency. There is a wealth that is available to everyone equally across the board, you see. And what happens to so many people is that they pick some aspect of something that someone else is living, and they use that as their reason to feel diminished. That person has more money than I do. That person has more beauty than I do. That person had a better family beginning than I do. And as they put themselves in that diminished capacity and practice the vibration of not enoughness, because something has gone wrong for me, that's their point of attraction. And the more they do it, the worse they feel, because the source within them does not see them in that way. And so when you bump up against someone that has been practicing some sort of diminishment, and it is often evidenced in finances, but it's evidenced in all sorts of ways, and they want your help, you've just got to be really clear that this is an equal opportunity for all. And sometimes someone who's really prosperous is the last person that somebody who isn't prosperous is going to listen to, because they've got their mind all twisted into a knot. It just inflames their sense of not enoughness. The more you have, the less they have, you see. So we'd start on a different subject. We'd teach them the prosperity of alignment, or the prosperity of meditation, or the prosperity of clarity.
What I'm also getting is that as a gift to myself, because these are people I love, to see them as who I can see them, to see them in their best light, to pull, to write their positive aspects is a gift to myself. To imagine that for them, not to get them to change, but really just to enjoy seeing them.
That's the key right there, because as you hold someone as your object of attention, in a determination to feel good, you can't help but help them. But if you are doing the process in order to move them from this place to that place, you're practicing the place they are. Really good observation and understanding on your part. Yeah.
Thank you.